Parenthood this year, more than 1 million women will get cancer screenings. Because of Planned Parenthood this year, more than 1.2 million teenagers will get honest sex education that'll keep them safe and protected. And because of Planned Parenthood this year, over 2.5 million women will receive birth control to allow them one of the most basic freedoms to plan their family for themselves.
Latinas in New York, in Texas, in Minnesota, in Florida, and beyond are saying, basta, enough! White men in Congress are attempting to take away our reproductive health and rights. They are discriminatory, short-sighted, and damaging to everyone.
It was important that a sister from Flatbush show up today. You know, Senator Schumer was just here and he talked about how my colleagues, my reckless Republican colleagues, would like to turn the clock back to the 50s. And I sat there and I said, wait a minute. I was born in the 60s. We're not going out like that. We just need to show up. It is our time to show up. Our democracy is not a spectator sport.
Say no to the cuts in Planned Parenthood. Say no to the attacks on choice. Say no to the anti-woman, anti-health agenda.
It's really awesome to see everybody out here today. Hi to everyone on the steps. I am here because in the summer of 1989, I walked into a Planned Parenthood with a really, really bad infection. I could barely walk. It was a pretty big problem to not be able to walk because I was on my first ever US tour. And we had shows that we wanted to play. And I'm guessing that when I walked in, I smelled pretty disgusting because I'd been in a van for 2 months. But the people at the Planned Parenthood in Chicago were totally nice to me anyway. I'm here because I will always remember how terrible and desperate and sick I felt when I walked in that day, and how the people at the clinic helped me even though I only had $12. I'm here because if they wouldn't have helped me, I would have had to cancel the next show and maybe the next show after that. Because my infection probably would have gotten so bad that I ended up in an expensive emergency room. And when I went home, had to work more hours at my job and neglect my band and maybe wouldn't have kept making music. I'm here because that didn't happen because Planned Parenthood helped me out and I didn't have to sideline my dreams.
I too stand with Planned Parenthood. And Community Health Care Network, since 1981, has provided family planning services for tens of thousands of women throughout New York City, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, and in Queens. And so many women who come through our doors say, if it weren't for health centers and clinics like you, we'd never get any health care because they are uninsured, or they work and they don't have health insurance. And Title X makes it possible to give quality health care to tens of thousands of women and their families throughout New York State.
You don't ever have to be pregnant or a parent to be valued, but you can't have a culture of life if you don't value the women who give that life.
Here's what really happened. Angela was a 28-year-old working mother of 3 who came to see me when she was pregnant for a 4th time. Like half of all American women, her pregnancy was unintended. She and her spouse chose to carry it to term despite the strain another child would put on their family. but at 34 weeks, Angela had a miscarriage. Delivering a stillborn and grieving a lost child are traumas that no one should have to endure. Angela and her husband decided that an IUD would be a best way to prevent future pregnancies and allow her time to heal. Only there was a problem. Angela's insurance did not cover birth control. Yep, where was that? Right here in New York City. Fortunately, we have backup mechanisms in place, like Planned Parenthood and Title X clinics. After many phone calls and weeks of delay, Angela was able to get her IUD. It is these programs that help women access and afford needed care when the primary system fails. And it does fail, often where women's health care is concerned.
There's freedom. People want democracy. We want democracy too. Democracy starts right here at home. I come from the United States Senate, and I bring you good news. These dangerous cuts that have passed the House are dead on arrival in the United States.
When was the last time you said enough is enough? As an African-American woman and someone who works for Planned Parenthood, I was deeply offended by the billboard that claimed the most dangerous place for an African-American is in the womb. Yes, many of you were offended. Many other African-American women were offended. New York City Council member Letitia James was offended. Sister Song was offended. The Women of Color Policy Network was offended. The billboard was a clear attempt to use race to sensationalize abortion, which is a very personal, private decision that women make, and to claim that African American women are willing participants in genocide? Are you kidding me? Divisive racial tactics are not the answer. Planned Parenthood is the answer.
I have had an abortion. Many of us have. And I stand in support of women who make the choice to have an abortion and who choose to not have an abortion. We black women are pissed off. Yeah. The thing is, those billboards are all across the country. They're all across the country. Our sisters are fighting. We have to get rid of them. We have to get rid of the billboards across the country. We have to stand in solidarity with our sisters who are not in New York. We have won that short battle. We won that battle. And thank goodness we did. But the war is far from over. We want them to not forget that we remember in November. Thank you.
In 4 minutes, we're going to close up this rally, but this excitement and this energy cannot stop here. This is a... This is a statewide rally. We have people from Northern New York. We have people from the Capital Region, from Western New York. We have presidents of Planned Parenthood from all over the state and presidents of family planning health clinics in this crowd today standing among you. And they are asking you, when you go home, you must amplify and multiply. You must... It is time to be loud, and it is time to show up in numbers.
your members of Congress and respond to that email. Amplify and multiply.